Hello all YouTubers, I'm the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you all for tuning back into this weather presentation for June 21st, 2020. Before I get on with today's video, however, I would ask that every single one of you please smash that subscribe button and ring the bell notifications. Thank you guys so much for 600 subscribers. Let's get to our next goal of 700 subscribers and to our next long-term goal of the big 1,000. So please smash that subscribe button and ring the bell notifications, as well as watching the whole video. Both of these things really do support my channel, and watching the whole video, it's a win-win. You get the best weather content and I get the watch time, which I really do need for my channel. And please also like and share this video. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. So today we're going to be talking about an intense, severe thunderstorm threat, just on time for Father's Day, right? Going to be taking place across the Central Plains, and the Storm Prediction Center just upgraded for the lucky or the unlucky 109,000 of you are now in a moderate risk for severe weather. All right, and the two big cities in that are Dodge City, Kansas, and Woodward, Oklahoma. They just had this little moderate risk here in the Storm Prediction Center, so we're expecting some intense, severe weather today. So if you know any family that lives in the Central Plains, even up to the Northern Plains and Upper Midwest, be sure to share this video with them, especially this one, because so they can get notified about the severe weather threat. Tornado threats are 5% here. All right, in eastern Nebraska, we're talking about southwestern Kansas and northwestern Oklahoma as well. As for damaging wind threat, it's going to be very, very likely. We're talking about significant severe, so above 70-80% chance of damaging winds in that hatched area for central Kansas and central Kansas, southern Kansas, as well as north central Oklahoma. So damaging winds potentially up past 80 miles per hour because of the shear that we're going to be having. We're talking about high tornado threats. And yes, damaging hail could get above 2.5 inches in diameter. Saying right in this region from northeastern Nebraska all the way down through western half of Kansas, even the northern Texas panhandle and the western Oklahoma panhandle is in that little black hatched zone. So that's where a significant severe area lies. That is by the Storm Prediction Center. Then by tomorrow, there was no update to this one. I mean, honestly, this is the latest update, but they didn't really upgrade this one yet. But it's still a slight risk, all right? Shifting farther south now with that front. All right, and also the I-95 corridor could be in a big threat too. So we're talking about 15 million people in this region. Luckily, the only really major metropolitan areas in tomorrow's severe threat are going to be Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and Dallas-Fort Worth. So, but not like the I-95 where, DC and Baltimore is going to be in the severe weather tomorrow. But it's going to be more of a slight risk tomorrow. All right, for South Central, Southwestern Missouri, down to Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas. All right, and then once we head towards day 3, which is the next day. So this is Tuesday because tomorrow's Monday. Again, I say this every video. I have no sense of time. All right, especially with this whole lockdown thing. So again, marginal risk for severe weather. The storm system will be weakening. The front will be weakening as it heads southeast, but so the severe threat will be dropping each day, but still a marginal threat for parts of the Mississippi Valley in the southeast, and even southeastern Colorado, northeastern New Mexico could even have a marginal threat tomorrow, or Tuesday, excuse me. All right, so we're going to take a look at the high-resolution model now and kind of see, what the models really do with the storm system. All right, so here's going through the day today. Here's your damaging thunderstorm threats for the latest high-resolution model run. Actually, let me see because, 16Z, here we go. I knew we had a later run than that. Because it automatically goes back to the 12Z because that's like one of the main model runs, so it automatically goes back to that even when I refresh it. So, but here's the latest 16Z model run from the high-resolution model. Here's your clusters of storms here that are developing. This is 6 p.m. by the way. All right, so western Kansas, northeastern Nebraska. All right, and there you go. Starting to drop in Oklahoma, North Oklahoma, Kansas border there. I believe that this is 9 p.m. tonight. Again, you have two main areas, and believe me, don't underestimate this. This is going to be some dangerous severe weather. All right, and to those of you who do get it. All right, and Oklahoma and Arkansas, there you go. All right, and this is going to be overnight for some spots. If you're lucky enough, you could be seeing this thing coming overnight. All right, so there's some areas here in central, eastern Kansas, northern Oklahoma. Some of you unlucky people that could be seeing this overnight. And keep in mind, look at our surface low to the south here. All right, 999 millibars of pressure is a pretty strong low, so that's only going to enhance the wind threat. Keep in mind, we do have another little low area too, so there's a lot of little different low pressure systems that could even come together, and this is why the wind threat is going to be enhanced. In terms of our surface-based cape, do we have that heat energy really in the atmosphere? I'd say we do. All right, Western Kansas here. You see it right there in a little spot, over 6,000 joules per kilogram. All right, this is really serious heat. All right, building for central Kansas, south central Nebraska. And you can see behind that front in the spinning of the upper level low, behind that, there's really no heat. All right, the heat kind of starts to wear off a little bit. But until then, there's going to be tons of heat energy building. And it's going to be building right from the south, right in this direction, right here. So Texas-Oklahoma borderline right there. All right, another area that we can see some intense cape until the storms really blow through, and then all the cape kind of starts to taper off. And then by tomorrow, we see the whole thing start building again. All right, all the cape starts coming back now. All right, so the 17Z run is just starting, but since there's not enough models, or not, it doesn't go out far enough yet. So we're sticking to the latest 16Z model run here. And if we look at the bulk shear, all right, take a look. All right, it doesn't look like much for now, but there's going to be some wind shear. And take a look right here. All right, for north central Kansas, south central Nebraska, we do have some areas of stronger wind shear, so those storms can really get rotating if we do have turning of the winds with height, which is I will show you in a bit. All right, so there's central western Kansas right there, even down towards Texas. We do have some wind shear. It's some areas, like in those red areas where we have an increased threat for damaging winds, we have our higher threat of wind shear. Again, wind shear is more of a pro for severe weather, but a con for hurricanes. All right, then the wind shear threat will eventually start to taper off overnight, all right, as those storms drop southward. All right, so here's the high resolution model. Now this is to supercell composites, so kind of like our chances for seeing some damaging supercells and like where we could be seeing them. All right, and the answer to that, all right, could even be Texas and Oklahoma, because we do have, that's where we do have some of the most intense cape values. But we could even see some supercells blossom today. All right, for even parts of south central Kansas through Nebraska into western Iowa eventually, as we head through late evening and overnight hours. And then your supercell threats for tomorrow and tomorrow morning to the day tomorrow, again, are going to be shifting more towards Oklahoma and Texas. All right, let's take a look at the significant tornado parameters. All right, where can we see those damaging tornadoes set up potentially? Because there will be some destructive tornadoes possibly in some areas like where we do get hit. All right, notice we do have a little band here, right here, so significant tornado parameters, but this isn't until 11 p.m. So again, that's the dangerous part about this. It's all going to be overnight in some spots. Obviously, if you're a little bit farther east, because this will be moved from west to east, so to speak, northwest to southeast. So if you live a little bit farther east, chances are this will become overnight. Like maybe it'll be like this afternoon for south central Nebraska and Kansas. Maybe towards Oklahoma and southeastern Kansas, it might be overnight, and then during the day Monday for areas in Arkansas point south. So it all depends on where you are and where that front is moving. If you're unlucky enough to get these storms overnight. Even Texas, northern panhandle of Texas, can even see some significant tornado parameter, high significant tornado parameter values at 9 p.m. tonight. All right, so let's take a look. This is the updraft helicity, because what happens is when we get strong updrafts, it's going to result in strong downdrafts, and where the wind and the rain can just push down and out. All right, and when you have a combo air that sinks like that, the air just spreads out, because when it hits the ground, it's not going to go through. It's got to spread out somewhere. So that's where you get those downbursts potentially. And you get those high winds and some heavy rain. So let's take a look at the updraft helicities and where we could be seeing some of those higher updraft helicity values. Probably north central Oklahoma, probably central western Kansas as well as northeastern Nebraska. Again, it's not too widespread, but we do have some areas of some higher updraft helicities, as well as right there just west of Tulsa and Oklahoma City, the little region there as well. All right, so the high resolution model, so it's very specific, and these storms are very pinpoint. All right, so it could be, I wouldn't call them isolated, I call them more scattered, because it goes isolated, scattered, widespread. All right, so scattered is like, it's a little bit more numerous when we have scattered storms as opposed to isolated storms. They're a little bit more widespread, but they're still not numerous. All right, now let's take a look at those wind crossovers, and also the cape is shown here again. That's just part of the map, but we do have some wind crossover values. And take a look at this. This is by 8 p.m. 7. I believe this is 5 o'clock. Yes, 5 o'clock this evening, and you can see right there in central Kansas where we do have winds coming out of the southeast at the surface and out of the south at 5,000 feet. So there's your turning of the winds with height right there. All right, so that's what we're going to be watching. And then eventually those cape values die overnight, and then but we still do have winds coming out of the northwest now, obviously from the surface behind those storms. We still do have turning of the winds with height, even when the even when the storms are dying out. So there you go. That's why we can see those tornadoes right there. We're going to have those turning of the winds with height. All right, so that was a high-resolution model. Now, before I move on to the NAM model, I wanted to show you this to help kind of break it up so you guys realize what model I'll be switching to next. I didn't want you guys, because like if I showed you this right here, you might not be able to tell it's actually the NAM model. So to break it up, right in the middle here is the Weather Prediction Center's excessive rainfall outlook before we get into the NAM model. And here we go. So this is for today, South Central Kansas through Oklahoma, Texas border, southern Arkansas, eastern Nebraska, and northern Iowa. We do have a slight risk for some excessive rainfall for today. For tomorrow, the threat does shrink a little bit, but we still do have some excessive rainfall threats to the upper Midwest Great Lakes, as well as the Mississippi, Tennessee Valley, even parts of the central and southern plains as well. And then eventually, with that front moving eastward, all right, so eventually for day 3 on Tuesday, we're going to see our marginal risk of excessive rainfall kind of start pushing east along with that upper level low. That's saying they're going to help produce those strong northwest winds once these storms move through. All right, but until then, we're going to have a southern flow, more of a moist flow, and that's going to help to enhance our severe weather threat along with some other factors such as wind shear and CAPE, which we're going to go over again, except this time is the NAM model. So it's good. I mean, high resolution model is good for tracking these kinds of things because the severe weather threat's happening today. Like it's literally happening now and over the next few hours. So great time to do this video, but it's good to have more than one perspective, and I think the NAM model is perfect for that. So let's take a look at the NAM model. All right. Obviously, if I had to show you the GFS and the European and the GEM model, those are more mid to long term because they're not quite as high definition. So if I showed you all those models too, this video would literally be 45 minutes long, and that would be boring. All right, trust me, you didn't want to watch all the like a 45-minute long video going through every single model. But let's take a look at the NAM model now, and here you go. This is 11 p.m. tonight, and that low pressure system, that surface low, is even stronger according to the NAM model at 996 millibars of pressure. Remember, as I said in my tropical discussions, the lower the pressure, the stronger the wind. So, and here we go, central Iowa as well. Even we have a lot of cells that are starting to blossom up here. And these could even be like potentially, according to the NAM model, more so clusters, not just isolated supercells. Here's a damaging cluster moving through Oklahoma and Iowa. These could produce EF2, EF3 tornadoes. All right, definitely is not looking too good out there. And then, even as we head to tomorrow morning, still some intense storms for Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Kansas City. Some areas we could be seeing some damaging storms even through tomorrow morning. All right, let's take a look now at the CAPE with the NAM model, kind of see what do they think about, or do we have some intense heat? What do they think? Some really intense heat here. We're talking about nearly 6,000 joules per kilogram, like the high resolution model, pinpoint right there, Oklahoma and Texas border. But even outside of that, anywhere that's orange and red, even purple shading, all areas where you still have some good enough CAPE values to really produce some severe weather. Good thing is, with the NAM model, the CAPE values do disappear pretty quickly, and they refire tomorrow. Once again, another day of severe weather tomorrow, all right, with that increasing CAPE values. And luckily, though, I think the storm threat will be shifting more south tomorrow, and it won't be quite as big of a threat. But still, you need to take the necessary precautions. Start preparing now. All right, hopefully you were preparing this morning. All right, but if you haven't prepared, not too late. All right, take a look at the wind shear in western Kansas. All right, it's there, as well as the Texas Panhandle. All right, and then as we head through the overnight, here's 11 p.m., more wind shear for western Kansas, even down by Oklahoma and Texas Panhandles. All right, and then once we head into overnight and into tomorrow morning, more the wind shear starts to shift far south, and that's where we're going to have our severe weather threat. A little bit lower, but that's where our severe weather threat is going to be for tomorrow, situated Oklahoma and parts of the Mississippi and Tennessee valleys. Supercell composites here. Let's take a look at our supercell, like our chances for some supercells, and yeah, 52, 53 for southwestern Oklahoma. Keep in mind this graph goes up to 50. So yeah, that's really saying something there. All right, so if that's not saying, this isn't really saying where our supercells are going to be. It's saying that since at 53 and the highest level is 50, since that is the case for Oklahoma and Texas border right there, that means that the conditions are super ripe for supercells. So if we do have a thunderstorm move over there, it could be potentially catastrophic. And that's what that's saying. I'm not saying there's going to be a supercell right there in Oklahoma, because a lot of the storm threats will actually be up here for the early part. Then eventually, as we head into overnight tomorrow, the storm threat will shrink a little bit farther south. But that's where we're having our higher supercell composite values. And if the rest of the conditions come together, we can have some damaging supercells. All right, so let's take a look at the significant tornado parameter, and it's very high across central Oklahoma. All right, this is 11 p.m., so definitely watch out for some significant tornadoes potentially. Then the significant tornado parameter threat does lower a little bit for tomorrow into tomorrow morning for parts of northern Texas, but still something to watch because these storms can really pop out of anywhere. All right, and some of these could even be becoming a damaging cluster. At least with a cluster, it's more destructive. I get it, but at least with a cluster, you know what's coming. Some cells, like I saw a cell in Amarillo, Texas, the radar was perfectly clear. About 15 minutes later, a huge storm just arises, and it's like a supercell, but it's very intense. All right, so these things can rise out of nowhere. And here, sorry about that, guys. Let me. It's just like tropical tidbits. Whenever you click on the map by accident, it always brings up that sounding map. And since my camera is blocking the X button, I have to kind of pause the video in order to close it out. But here is your higher updraft helicities right here. Texas and Oklahoma. We have central Iowa as well, southeastern Nebraska. We have some, but especially in these two regions right here. Higher updraft helicities can result in higher downdrafts. And when you get those stronger downdrafts here, that can really increase the wind and the rain threat. Even if it's not a tornado, we can just have a straight line wind threat just from the storm itself. It doesn't necessarily have to be a tornado to reduce the damaging winds. All right, so here are the turning of the winds with height. You have winds coming from the south at the surface and winds from the southwest at 5,000 feet. So those turning of the winds with height, that's where you're going to have the potential spinning atmosphere, and that's where your potential tornadoes are going to be. So thank you for watching today's video, guys. Stay safe. You know anybody in the Central Plains or in the Southern Plains, please share this video with them so you can let them know, or friends, family, or anybody you know, to make sure they're prepared for the severe weather threat today, tomorrow, and even on Tuesday as well. Thank you guys for watching. I'm the Weather Dude signing off. Until next time. Catch you guys next video.